Hello and welcome to Auto Arcadia. I am one of your hosts, Thomas Hope, and with me is
Colin Wood, the other host.
Hi, Colin. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Dodging away. Yeah.
Good. Well, I don't really have too much structure for what I was going to talk about, well, what I wanted to talk about this evening, but I've got a few things on my mind. And I think I'll probably dive in with, I don't know, something that maybe kind of sets the tone of my questions, which is, when you're driving, what do you listen to? Or do you listen to anything at all?
Ooh, yeah. So, if I'm in a car with no Bluetooth or that I can't stream Spotify on, Radio 1, because it's the most benign crap that I can find that will pass the time.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you ever have an Explorer of digital radio?
No, I've never had a car that has digital radio in it.
To be fair, my current car is the first one that I've had that can do digital radio, and it's terrible as well. Signal coverage is awful.
Yeah, I was going to say that because it's digital and the way that digital signals work, it gets confused by hills and trees quite easily, I believe.
Yeah, honestly, there's some drives that I do that if I put it on a digital radio station, I'll hear the less than half of the journey will have reception.
Wow, that's fucking horrific.
It's really bad around here. So I don't really often listen to digital radio, but I do like that there's a bit more choice.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about it. And I find with digital radio as well, I can, like, if I'm listening to it on the computer or something, I can usually find a station that actually plays music that I want to listen to, which is a novelty for me.
Yeah, totally. I always find myself gravitating towards the 80s and 90s radio stations, to be honest.
Oh, no. Well, actually, no. See the 80s ones, right? Because you get a bit like Alice Cooper, Iron Maiden, that sort of thing on there. Like, I'm on board with that. But then when it's like playing disco pish, I'm just like, no, I'm all right.
Me and you like very, very different kinds of music.
Yeah, dude. Segues nicely into, if I have a car with Bluetooth or AUX in or YouTube, like Android Auto USB, it's on Spotify and it's always either rock, metal, so it could be like metalcore, death metal, bit of screamcore, you know, all the vast variety, all the metal,
the cores.
Yeah, and then all the rocks with a little bit of rap in there as well. Sometimes there's a guy called Jam Wayne I've been quite on listening to like lately. He's pretty cool, and a bit of Eminem and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's either rap, metal, or rock. But
nice.
the most of it is stuff with guitars in it that generally increases your blood pressure, makes you drive faster.
So see, that's the next question. Do you always listen to that? Like every time you go somewhere, do you always listen to that music?
Oh yeah.
So every journey, it's always metal on, volume up?
Oh yeah, like if it goes to 30, like I'm aiming to get it to 32 on the volume.
So like windows shaking kind of levels of volume.
Oh yeah, like you know the obnoxious arseholes, well I say obnoxious arseholes that you get who like you can hear their music because they've got their window down. Like
yeah, totally.
A full fucking 5 seconds before you actually see them. And in mine it's usually like absolute death, thunder, drum rolls, and absolutely crazy riffs with some guy screaming over the top of it. And people generally are just a bit. It's actually quite mental when you're driving past someone and you can actually see them looking at you as in, I'm intimidated and I don't really want anything to do with you. But yeah, no, that's my bag.
Fair enough. And like that is an intense way to do your motoring. Just absolutely raging about all over the place. Do you think that the music makes you drive faster or drive angrier in any way?
Not angrier, but certainly, I don't know, faster, yeah. Like the way the first time I noticed this was like I was like 19 and I just got my RX-8 and I stuck Motorhead CD in. And it was the first time I'd driven it with like the radio off with without the radio being off and like my own music in it. It was maybe the second day I owned it, and like I noticed I was driving like 10 to 15 mile an hour faster everywhere just listening to Motorhead. So when you put something that's actually pretty heavy on, it's like, whoa. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I find kind of similar with for me it's drum and bass. Like I like a little bit of drum and bass to get me kind of get the blood flowing, and kind of does encourage you a little bit, encourages you along.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that I listen to music every time I drive. I can be quite, no, if I'm on a long drive, I might listen to a podcast. And also, I'm not really that, if it's a short enough drive, like, you know, kind of 20 minutes, and also if the roads are good, I probably won't listen to anything at all. Especially
Really?
if it's decent weather and I can have the window down.
That's mental.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely do not mind driving in silence. Like, it does give you an opportunity to think. If you've got like a good road and it's more engaging because you can hear the car a little bit better. Like, I don't mind it. I absolutely don't mind it at all. And like, another question I want to ask is like, you know, when you're playing a driving game on whatever console, computer, or whatever, do you also listen to the same kind of like metal rock music?
Oh yeah. So because I play on the Xbox, there's this, like when you open up Spotify on the guide page, there's this really handy thing where it like the slider in the middle is 100% game volume, 100% Spotify, and you can slide it up and down to keep like the game at 100%, but have the Spotify at like 30%, so it's just playing over the top.
Yeah, I get you.
So it doesn't like take away from the sound effects and everything, but no, generally I'll have Spotify on when I'm playing a racing game or something.
And your own music again, yeah?
Yeah, man.
That's really interesting. I'm probably, again, a bit of an outlier when it comes to it, but I will definitely turn the game music off. Probably won't listen to my own music over the top of it. Quite often I play racing games without music again, but also sometimes I play them on silent. Like I've got a lot of hours in various like Forzas just played completely on mute. Maybe like watching TV in the background or something like that, or maybe listening to something entirely different, like a podcast or an audiobook or something like that. But for me, when it's in games, I don't always need there to be sound. Like, I'm not going to argue that it's better with the sound off, but like, I likes me some content, and sometimes just playing a game is not enough content.
Fair enough, man. You know, the thing you said there that absolutely pickles me is that you watch telly while playing Forza, because that would wrap my brain in circles. Like,
it's totally fine. You don't really need to pay attention to most TV, and you don't need to pay attention to Forza on the straights.
On the straights, but it's the corners that make the difficult bit. But
yeah, I mean, performance does vary depending on how much attention you're giving it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, genuinely, I've done that for so many years, where it'd just be like boot up like an endurance race or something like that on Forza, or like, when you're just kind of like in like an online multiplayer lobby and there's loads of fucking waiting and downtime between stuff. Yeah, it's getting on mute. I'm going to put some TV on and I'll watch the TV in the background.
Yeah. See, one thing I do is I mute everybody else's microphones because I have no interest in listening to them.
100%, yes.
The only we're going off track here. This is a good story though. The only exception to this was when I was playing Call of Duty in like a big squad of guys, because I'm assuming you know this, but people who are listening might not know that Scottish Call of Duty players are absolute fucking savages, and literally you'll be sitting there and you'll hear the Cockney accent in the lobby, and you're like, ears pick up. One of the boys is going to pick up on this, and right away they're like on him, giving him all the shit. And it's like, yes, here we go. We've got a live one, lads. We've got a group of folk for opposite ends of the country that are just about to rip each other to pieces in the lobby and then go fucking hell for leather in the game. And it's just class.
You like a bit of trash talking?
Oh, yeah. I mean, have you ever watched the YouTube video, Scottish Call of Duty players?
No, I haven't.
And there's like one of the lines in it that always stands out to me is the guy's like, your ma's got a hell of a chin. She's called Buzz Lightyear, to chinfinity and beyond, you dickhead. And it's like, fucking, where did that come from? But aye.
Cool. I will give that a listen, man. Listen, it's been so long since I played anything like that. I found online just way too much. There was just everyone just constantly shouting, and like I actually struggle sometimes with like competitive games. They just make me sometimes I get like too kind of like anxious about the game, if you know what I mean. It's very difficult to explain. It's like the competition of it like fuels a certain anxiety. And I end up just like kind of really end up hyper fixating on it, or basically just making myself really anxious. It's very difficult to describe. It's a really difficult like getting inside your own head about stuff like that. So I genuinely don't really ever bother playing competitive games anymore.
Fair enough. That's actually quite an interesting take as well, because like when I was playing it, it was just after Modern Warfare came out, the remaster one.
They remastered that. When was that?
So like well, it wasn't a remaster; it was a remake. 4 or 5 years ago, when they like remade it, and it was big. It was just before the Battle Royale one came out. What the fuck do you call it? Warzone. That's pish, by the way. But like I always played on hardcore with the same group of people, and I was just so lackadaisical and didn't give a fuck about it as well. But like I'd just run about causing absolute chaos with like 2 shotguns blasting folk into oblivion, and like getting folks screaming down their headset, and then it'd be like, I don't care. Like I'm gonna sit here and camp now because I know that annoys you. Like so, I'm just gonna pick you out of the crowd every time and just fucking drill you every time you appear in front of me. So yeah, I was probably the absolute worst person for anyone to play against that actually took it seriously, because I just took the piss.
Fair enough. It is a game after all.
It is, but yeah. Back to the topic though, like, yeah, the Spotify's on the button. Like, the one thing that really struck me was that you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, no, I do. I've always really enjoyed podcasts.
Because see, since we started making a podcast, my appetite for listening to them has gone down dramatically.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I think that I'm now pared back to the point where I only follow like a few very specific ones that I kind of like quite loyally follow, and then beyond that, I don't really look too much for new stuff.
Yeah, the other one as well was audiobooks, because I do quite a bit of reading, and listening to an audiobook where it's not like my internal voice reading along to the page, I find that really distracting. I just wonder if you struggle with that when you're driving, because like when I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm like, this doesn't compute because I should be reading this. There's like something in my head it doesn't sit right with.
That's really interesting, because I don't get anything like that. I really like listening to audiobooks, because I don't have a problem with it being read to me. Like I'm totally okay with that. It's the story that I'm interested in, and actually listening to some stuff recently where it's had different people do different characters as well. So it's more like almost like a radio kind of play or reading. That's also really, really, really good. So yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it. Absolutely, just I don't know how to describe it. I just really, really enjoy listening to people talking and hearing stories, which is probably the reason I like podcasts and audiobooks. Like I actually find myself gravitate towards like people talking over music more often than not.
Right. That's really interesting. So
I almost get sick of music, if you know what I mean. Like I get a little bit tired of listening to it.
Yeah, no, I get that at times, which is why I kind of bounce between three different genres and countless bands.
I find myself going through phases, definitely through phases of music.
Yeah.
And that's usually reflected in when I'm in the car and I am listening to music. It'll have to be, whatever new Spotify artist or playlist I've kind of phased into for now, just pretty much them on repeat until I'm like, right, okay, I'm done with this. I need to move on to something new.
That's fair, man. Yeah. It's like, I went through it. Well, at the minute, I'm listening to like a lot of South of Salem, which is like they're a hard rock band from Bournemouth. Actually, they're really good. If anyone's into rock, give them a go. They were supporting Wednesday 13 in Glasgow not long ago. But they're class. Like and they've got like some influences of proper old school rock. And like the band I sent you, Airborne, they're basically just a younger Australian version of AC/DC.
Mm.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot at the minute, like a lot of Mice and Men, Slipknot. Yeah, I mean I could sit here and list off bands for fucking hours that I've been listening to. It's
And
mental.
also, I have recognised one band in that list so far.
Was it Slipknot by any chance?
Slipknot, yes.
Everybody knows the Gimp Band Mask. No, the Gimp Mask Band. There we go. But yeah, so no man, like proper metalhead when I'm in the car. One question for you though: do you ever hit a point where you turn it off?
Turn what off?
Like when you're in the car and say you're absolutely jamming and something happens and it's just like nope, and you just hit the power button for the radio. Like it could be podcast, audiobook, radio, Spotify music, anything. There's just something where you're like, I need my attention now, or something happens. Do you ever get that where you just have to switch it off?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I can tell you exactly when I need to switch it off. When I'm navigating and someone's trying to talk to me. Both of those, I'm turning it off.
Fair enough.
Because that's a lot. Like when I'm trying to work out where I'm going and process a conversation with someone and have something on in the background that I need to selectively ignore, that's when that's like there's too much going on and we need to pare it back. So I usually kill whatever's like the background noise, and it does help me like focus on the more immediate things.
That's interesting. So for me, like both if people talking and like navigation, I turn it down, but I very rarely ever turn it off. It's actually been more common that a passenger's turned it off because I'm navigating than I have. But usually I'll just turn it down a couple of notches. But the things that get me to turn it off is like when some proper approaching 10/10ths or 11/10ths antics is going on. Like the sort of time where you put both hands on the wheel because you actually need both hands on the wheel.
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
Like when you're done, you pat the dash and say, "Good job, we survived."
Fair enough. Yeah, it's like a concentration thing as well, isn't it? You need to be able to pay full attention to what's going on.
Yeah, but then I find that before I get to that point where I have to turn it off, I really enjoy having a good spirited drive with music on. But it's only if I'm actually going to be scratching my talents that it's like I need to switch this off to concentrate.
Oh, that's really interesting. No, I like the music off, and especially if it's like a really good day in summer, where it's like warm, so you're not absolutely freezing, and there's no rain, so you can have the windows down and you can just like go for a nice drive and just listen to your car, the sounds that it makes.
Yeah, that's fair. Like,
yeah, it feels good, especially at night when it's really quiet and you really can hear like the car kind of move.
Yeah. Like when you're going down through the glen and it's like nothing but exhaust and induction noise reverberations all around you through this mass acoustic channel that you're in, and then like the actual feeling and movement of the car. Like, yeah, I'm totally on board with that. That's probably the other situation I would switch it off in.
Absolutely. It's another sensation to help you feel like kind of connected to what you're doing.
Defo. Yeah, that's definitely one of them. And then the last thing that gets me to turn it off is rage.
Oh, okay. So when you become enraged, this needs all of my attention.
Yeah, do you know the perfect one is when you've got some doteless idiot reversing or trying to park and you're sitting in your car waiting on someone and music's blasting and you're just enjoying life and you're like, oh, this is lovely. And then you catch just them getting a bit too close to your car and I'm just like, music right off, window down, and I'm just sitting, will not blink, like I'm going to cut a hole into your fucking soul with my stare right now because you're getting a bit too close to where I want you to be. Like, go away, stop it. If you can't park, jump out the car, come and speak to me and say, I want to get parked next to you, but I'm scared I'm going to hit your car. I'll quite happily park it for you. Literally, like,
That's
I would
absolutely insane.
honestly, like, see that this is the thing, right? People think I'm mental for what sets me off when it comes to cars, right? But the long and short of it is, a car for most people is going to be the second most expensive thing they ever buy in their life, outside of a house, right? Realistically, when you're fucking about next to the second most expensive thing I've ever bought in my life, you'll show it some fucking respect, because I didn't work really hard to get the car that I wanted just for you being a fucking idiot to come and reverse inside it.
Aye, totally.
Which is like, that's like the rage, just, oh no, music off. This fucking nugget demands my attention now.
Aye, fair enough. Like, it's the terror of, like, someone crashing into your car and writing it off, and you're like, right, well, you know, that car's actually quite important to me. I need to...
Yeah. I mean, not even writing it off, just damaging it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying if it gets damaged, but, like, if it's repairable, it's not as bad as someone actually writing the fucking thing off.
yeah. Like, I don't know, in some ways it's worse for me. Like, I think I'd actually prefer somebody to write my car off than just damage it, because they're going to fix it. Like, if it's just damaged and it gets fixed and you get it back, it's like, oh yeah, I've got my car back, but it's not the same car. It's fundamentally changed in the fabric of its being. You know, like, if I chopped my arm off and then sewn a new arm onto there, I wouldn't be the same Colin. I'd be like Colin with 25% new parts. Ken.
I mean, trying to avoid what could become quite an in-depth, like, kind of philosophical argument about what constitutes being a person.
Yeah, no.
I think if
let's
you're
avoid that
mostly
one.
Colin, then you're Colin, despite having other bits attached. Because, you know, you wouldn't say someone with a prosthetic leg, their leg isn't them, you know?
Well, I mean, it's not. It's a manufactured part. Sorry, I'm not meaning just to harpoon your argument there, but no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm totally lost now. I've forgotten how we got here.
Because we are really good at going off on tangents.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Yes. Are you there?
I'm just drawing a complete and utter blank about what I was going to say next there. But however, we have talked about kind of like what we listen to. Oh, that's exactly what it was. Exactly what it was. How distracting do you find people talking to you in the car?
I think it depends on the conversation.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Because generally I'm pretty good. Like, I can hold a conversation and drive. It's only when, like, I'm having to do an additional thing on top of driving, like navigate a new place or something like that, it becomes a bit more of a faff. But there's certain, like, conversations that I do find to be kind of, like, a little bit more overwhelming than others as well.
Yeah. There's you know, like, when I say a really high impact conversation, like, everybody knows what that means. It's like something that has actual tangible, like, consequences to this conversation. Something like that, I'd just pull the car over and be like, right, no, stop, talk.
Yes, yeah, definitely. That makes sense, really. It's a sensible approach.
But, like, if somebody's just kind of warbling and talking bollocks, a lot of the time I'll be like, look, I need you to just to not, because I'm not really invested in the conversation and it's just a distraction. Like, there's no meaningful substance to it for me.
I can understand that. I find the lighter, more meaningless chit chat to be easier to kind of deal with.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that, 100%.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the thing for me is any auditory distractions. It depends on how focused I need to be. The more I get disturbed by each individual one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does kind of make sense. That's a conclusion that feels kind of right.
Yeah, we are very opposite ends of the spectrum here, to be fair.
We really are, yeah. We absolutely are.
I welcome the distraction most of the time and just want to fucking carry on as a big lunatic. And then you're like, you're actually quite, like, on the point with it, though. Like, this is actually distracting. I need it off. And I'm like, fuck it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm no Puritan. I do listen to stuff when I drive. Like, if I'm going down the motorway for 2 hours, I'm putting something on because, like, who really wants to listen to that sound?
Oh, there's the lovely echo of tire roar. Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. And wind noise. I get so much wind noise from those roof bars that I have.
Dude, that's one thing I cannot survive in a car without. See, any car I own, wind deflectors.
Around the windows.
Oh, absolute must have. Because I always have my driver's window down. Like, it could be -4 outside and I'll still have my window down. I don't know why. I feel really closed in with the windows up. But see, when it's pissing down and you just have it cracked at the top, it stops like the water running in off the roof gutter, but it also stops that fucking whistling noise. And it's an absolute game changer. Like,
I mean, fair enough. I don't think they're for me. But I will say that I have been soaked by water falling off the roof of my car down through the open window onto me a couple of times. And I've just kind of learned to like only open my window after I've made the left turn that I need to make. So that all the water runs off first. Took a couple of times, but I'll learn from it. But yeah, no, I can see the appeal of like deflecting a little bit of that water. I do find it kind of like weird design that like lots of windows will just like let rain in quite comfortably.
yeah. And the other thing as well, it's like when it drips in when you're driving, right? So the water drips in, it never just hits like the big bit of plastic on the door card where your arm sits. It's always right on top of the window switches.
Aye.
Like,
yeah,
almost as
all
if
the
by
wee
design.
nooks and crannies.
Yeah. It's like by design, when you're sitting at 60 or 70 mile an hour, the water comes in the window and drips into the electrical component. Like, fucking why?
How convenient and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I do kind of hate wind noise, but I've kind of also saddled myself with it by chucking roof bars on my car. So like I kind of accept it, like I kind of accept that. And I've learned to like navigate around the rain flaws. So I'm not really sure I just don't really like the way they look, the wind deflectors.
No.
I'm not really into the aesthetic of them.
I think they add to the look of a car as well a lot of the times. Like, I actually prefer the look of a car with wind deflectors. I think it adds a little something that's missing, just a little detail a lot of the time.
They're like, do you go for black ones?
Yeah.
But okay, I don't really know too much about the wind deflector scene, if there is one. But can you get like different colors? I assume they do grey, but do they do like?
So generally, from what I've seen, they kind of mimic window tints. So you get like blacked out ones, then you get like smoked, and then you get clear. And clear is just like, why would you?
Yeah. Clear ones would look almost medical in their application.
Oh yeah, like just no. Annoyingly, some of the coolest ones I've ever seen are on CL body Honda Accords.
Is that the body that you had?
Yeah, so you got the Mugen ones that went right over the metalwork of the door, and it was literally like, it just looked like a trim piece that went from the front of the window right across the windows and then down the back window, and it looks really cool. Like, but they're so ridiculously expensive because they've got Mugen badges on them.
Hi.
But yeah, no, like I'm a proper wind deflector guy. Like, that's my thing. I can't wait to have a yellow 911 with heavy smoked wind deflectors on it. It's got to look class.
I'm looking up wind deflectors because I want to see if you can get an RGB wind deflector.
What, a light up one?
Yeah, can you get RGB wind deflectors? You can get RGB everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was looking at computer components before, and it seems like it actually costs more to get the ones that don't have a fucking RGB on it.
RGB everywhere.
It's like, really? Fucking, I don't want my PC to look like a fucking rainbow. I just want it to work.
I know. Hide it away in a case with no window.
Oh, I've got the big half case. It's an absolute beast. So it's like a full ATX form factor case.
Aye. Oh, I remember you were talking about that. Yeah, I remember that one. Right. Sorry. So I actually genuinely can't find any more examples of a wind deflector, I think I might be looking in the wrong place.
Fair enough. I mean, you could get and paint it rainbow colours if that would tickle your pickle, I suppose.
Or like just have a little LED strip under it with one of those really cheap controllers.
Just jam some fucking RAM sticks under it. That'll be fine.
Your wind deflector needs more RAM.
Fucking quality.
I don't know if there's such a market for it though. That's the question.
What you need to do is get computer guys into cars and then RGB. No, actually, no. See if this was ever a thing. It was in the early 2000s when Max Power was a thing. Because I remember seeing RGB fucking washer jets.
Well, neons were really big back in the day, but neons were like crazy expensive.
Yeah, but neons are having a bit of a resurgence as well. So
I suppose they're more the more authentic side than what a lot of it will be now, which is just LED lighting, and LED lighting's so fucking cheap. You can just like chuck it absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, and then blind everybody on the road.
or just, I mean, I don't know how I feel about LED lighting. Part of me loves it because it's just so, it's really awful. It's really garish and stupid and dumb, and like I quite like bright colors. But like also, it's really not. It's not right. It's not. It's not okay. You shouldn't be using that.
No, I think it looks well. It looks good if it's done well, but doing it well, it's a very, very fine line between well executed and tacky as fuck.
Yeah. It's really easy to make it look bad.
Like having the floor, the footwells of your car and door pockets and that bathed in like a nice ambient light is quite nice. But then,
absolutely, you know, like some ambient lighting from cars does look nice. You know, where they just strategically light up parts around the door when you open it, so that you get like a good view of your surroundings and stuff like that without it being overwhelming. That's awesome. But can you imagine you open the door and it's just like rainbow effect, pulsing, multicolored LEDs?
Yeah, like if you open the door at night and you need to have sunglasses on to get inside your car, it's too much. Like
absolutely, absolutely. I used to have I bought, what was it like? It was like 2 or 5, maybe 5 meters of like LEDs ages ago when I had my Fiesta. I bought them from like a Chinese website. Was it called Deal Extreme maybe or something? I don't even know if it still exists. So you would order it. It would cost practically nothing. You'd order it and it'd just take ages to come across. It's a little bit like TeamU and stuff like that.
Right, got you.
And it was really cheap, and it just like literally you plugged it into the cigarette lighter. You came with a little remote control for doing all the different colors and the effects and timing, and it was like a flexible strip. And I put it fucking everywhere inside that car. I put it under both of the footwells in the front. I put it around the center console in the front, and I put it under the back seats just above their footwell. And they were all like linked together. Like I just kind of I just cut the strip and then like soldered it to make it like kind of fit everywhere. And even then I had stuff left over, like I had extra LEDs, didn't really know what to do with. But yeah, I only used it like a handful of times. It was more just like a kind of, wouldn't it be funny to do this? And yeah, it was really stupid. Like you could come to it at night and have the color set to like a really intense like green or pink or something, and you'd open the car and the whole bottom of the cabin would just be bathed in that glow, like that really intense fake LED glow, and it would just the color would just be drenched over absolutely everything. So like the little grey interior would be like green or pink.
Wow.
I'm honestly like I thoroughly enjoyed fucking about with the LEDs in the car, but I would not do it again, and I would not recommend it as something that you do. But it was really good fun to play about with for like a couple of times.
That's fair, man. Fair enough. So I know it has its place, but it has to be done nicely. I think is the one on that, and like.
Absolutely. Like I remember that Fiesta used to get like really abused. Like I used it as a music system and like a lighting system with those LEDs at a party as well.
That's incredible. Do you know, actually, on this same note, way back when, I was like 20, 21 at the time, we had a forest party, which was literally just everybody going out to the forest for a fucking rave. And one of the boys I kick about with in Dumfries, he built this big, massive MDF box with a head unit out of a car in it, and he put like subs on it and 6x9s, and this was how he was supplying music to the Forest rave. And we're like, but how the fuck are you gonna power it? He's like, how do you mean? I was like, well, how long is a fucking car battery gonna last running all that? He's like, I've got the solution though. And he fixed fucking jump leads onto his battery on the car, and he had like 4 different car batteries in the boot. And he's like, so I'm going to leave the car running all night, and I'm going to plug a battery on charge. And he says, and when the battery on the sound system gets low, I'm going to run down with that, put it to the side, take the one off charge, and put another one on charge, and I'm going to run back up the hill, and I'll put it on. And to be fair, he kept this up all night, like.
That's insane.
Commitment. Like, absolute fucking nick of us cutting about and running up and down the side of this hill, like fucking getting lost in the woods for like 15 minutes at a time, because it's absolute pitch black between the massive fire and the surround system and all the lights, and where this single fucking parked car was.
Just idling in the middle of nowhere.
And it's like, how nobody broke their fucking ankle or anything like that, I don't know, man. But like, folk were walking into trees and all sorts. It was fucking pitch black. And like, we lost a car battery. Don't know where the fuck it went. I know, it was wild. But no, that just when you said you used it as a sound system, that kind of popped that little story into my head there.
Yeah, mine definitely didn't have anywhere near as good quality as a set of 6x9s. Like, the speakers in that Fiesta were pretty shit.
You know, this is something I'm properly into, right? Not like sticking a big sub in the back of a boot, but you know, like, this is proper anorak level enthusiast shit now. Lightweight, high performance audio. So like, Rockford Fosgate used to make speakers that were like made to be really high quality sound, and also be super lightweight, so that you weren't like, they were basically like a couple of grams more than your OEM speakers, but the quality was fucking unbelievable and stuff like that. And that's something that's quite cool, I think, if you can build a bit of a setup but not ruin your car by adding 4 million tons to it. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I would prefer the lightness to the audio quality in pretty much most cases. So a nice compromise between the two would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I was doing it, I'd want both. I'd want the lightness and the audio quality. But that's because I'm a fucking audiophile. Yeah.
No, that's totally fair, man. I completely understand that. Yeah. So, kind of going on from the LEDs and everything being RGB, I would like to kind of talk about car color as well. Like, what your thoughts are on that? Like, what's your kind of, do you have a go-to car color? Is there like, because it probably does depend on the car.
Yes and no. So for car color, red ones are faster, yellow ones look the best, but I've got a soft spot for a really good purple.
Interesting.
You know,
I agree with much of that, but I don't agree with red cars are fast. I am not a fan of the red car in general. I think some cars do it quite well, but nah, red's not a colour for me.
No? Nah. Like, to be honest, I struggle to think of a colour I don't like. White, black, and grey, because everything is white, black, and grey. And it just screams that I don't care about what I've bought. I've bought it to keep my residual value high, and I don't have much of a personality.
Do you know what? I didn't even think of them as colours. I will say that I would rather have a red car than a white car, a silver car, or a black car. I avoid those colours.
Yeah. You know, the funniest thing actually talking about car colour was when me and you were in Mercedes and I was looking at a CLA, and the salesman was like, any particular colour? And I went, anything apart from white, black, and grey. And you actually commented after this, and you're like, I saw that man's heart sink when he was like, oh, well, you're not going to be buying a fucking Mercedes then, are you?
Yeah, they didn't really have that many options.
No, that was funny. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, I think color-wise, I really love a yellow car. I think yellow is a nice color for a car. I like yellow in general, and I really like purples too. I think I prefer the darker, deeper purples, like is it midnight purple we call it?
That's exactly what I was going to say. So like on a Skyline, sort of the Nissan Midnight Purple 2, where from a certain angle it's almost black.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you look
really,
at it,
really deep.
like the sun hits it right, and it's just one of the brightest purples you've ever seen. Well, not the brightest purple you've ever seen, but it's so bright, and not not in your face. It's really tasteful.
Yeah, and what's the BMW one? Is it Techno Violet or something like that?
Ooh.
Am I thinking of the right color there?
Yeah, I think it is. I think Techno Violet on like an E36 M3.
Oh yes, no, that is a beautiful color. Yeah, and VW also did a slightly deeper kind of purple that I liked. Interesting. What are the paint codes?
You know, there's a really nice one by Ford as well, which is Panther Black. And I know it's black, but it's actually more of a purple.
Interesting. The
it's
VW one is Vibrant Violet.
Right.
Which I actually really like. I totally agree with you. I think a deep purple color is a really nice color for the car. What was the color, sorry?
Jaguar Black. Ford Jaguar Black.
Oh, yeah, the one they actually use on the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's the one.
I don't know if I like that, as it's maybe a bit too black. I do see that it's not black. There is a subtle hint of color there.
It's really weird when you see it in the person. It's a lot brighter than it looks in photos. Like the purple really does like bounce out at you. It's almost a little bit like a flip paint when you see it in the right light. But most of the time it does just look black, to be fair. But yeah, that colour change is nice on them. What would you think about green?
I think green can work. I think green does work well for certain cars. Again, with green, I think you need to go really, really dark, like the purple, or you need to go very, very soft and light and quite flat.
See, I always thought, like, I'm not a massive fan of like British Racing Green, for example. I don't think it works.
Yeah, fair.
All the classic mini guys are having an epiphet now. But yeah, like BMW Java Green, you know, the one that the M3s come in. It's so.
The new M3s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I love that color. That's really nice. I like that one.
Really nice, but it has to be on an aggressive looking car. Like your fucking 228i people carrier would not pull that off at all.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be like a coupe with an M Sport pack on it, bare minimum, or it has to be an M car. Like that's the only way that works.
Absolutely, that's a really nice color. I like that. So no, I'm not against green. I'm not really on paper against any kind of color, as long as it's not a shade of white, black, or gray. You know, like brown can work really, really well on some cars. Like orange is really nice. Like I even quite like pinks. You know, like you can do pink badly, but like sometimes it works quite nicely.
Yeah, like if you do it, it's much the same as the lighting, man. Like if it's done tastefully, it just works. Like there's something really nice about a nicely executed color.
Yeah, I agree. When you get it right.
Oh yeah, and like see if you can pick a nice color and then a nice set of wheels to go with it. Like a lot of the time, I find that's all a car really needs. And sometimes you get this from the factory. Like the obvious example from you would be an E39 M5 in Silverstone blue, which is almost a silver, but it's got a really light blue tint to it. It's really nice, I think. And then the shadow chrome, I forget it's like 611 style wheels or whatever they're called. That's not right, but whatever the style of wheel is that an E39 M5 came with in shadow chrome with Silverstone blue is just such a beautiful combination.
Yeah, I really like that. I've just looked up the car color. It's nice. Very soft.
And like that, literally all you would do to that's lower it a little bit for my liking, and then that would be the ideal looking car. Like it doesn't need anything else.
Such an interesting car. I think the M5's just a bit too big for the front end.
Yeah?
I don't know. I'm unsure. been a while since I've looked at these M5s, to be honest, and they're not really. I think I'm an M3 over an M3 over an M5 person.
See, I would have an E39 M5 for the asking. Like, you wouldn't even have to twist my arm. I'd just be like, yeah, buy it. Do buy, drive. Me drive good. Ken. But like an E60 and onwards, nah, not for me.
Fair enough. I can understand that.
But I'm totally on board with the M3. E49, E46 M3, sorry. One of the finest driver's cars ever made.
Yeah, I like the look of them as well.
And the E90 as well. Just it's almost as if it has an M badge on it, it's one of the finest machines made. You know, certainly up until around the era that your 2 Series is from. After that, when they got the big droopy nose grills and that, not a massive fan, but yeah.
I like some of the new M car styling. Not all of it, but I like some of it. I'm going to give that one time to age a little bit in my mind, because I don't think I particularly like the look of the last gen BMWs when they were first released. I always find that BMW styling takes 5 or so years to kind of bed in, and then everyone looks back at the previous generation and it's like, oh, maybe that wasn't so bad. Maybe I quite like that. Or maybe they just their design gets so much worse every time that people look back fondly on the previous iteration.
That's maybe how it works, yeah.
Maybe BMW design peaked right at the start. First one out of the factory was the best, and it's all just been going downhill since then.
Yeah, I mean, the best looking 3 Series was E46 for me.
I like
then
E46, yeah.
Probably the F Series, like the first of the Fs, like the F80, and then I think it goes to the E90 after that.
Interesting.
I take it you have a different feeling on this.
I quite like, the E30.
Yeah, they're a cool looking car, but I like a bit of curve on my car, to be fair.
Fair. I always really liked a square, boxy, aggressive car.
Turbo brick Volvos would be very much your bag.
I do. I like a little bit of box. I do appreciate that cars can be designed with round edges and also look good. Totally get that. I used to think no, if it wasn't square, I wasn't interested. I've changed. But yeah, I still quite like a really aggressive, kind of. As long as it's kind of bulbous and it looks kind of wide and squat and purposeful with its aggression and angularness, it can look really, really good. I'm no massive fan of the Nissan Note. I think that's doing kind of square design not that well.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, I was gonna say stuff all the timeless designs for me are always quite swoopy. Like the Mark IV Supra, for example, which even though I was a Supra guy, the most overrated car on the fucking planet. But they are beautiful to look at.
Do you know what? I would rather have a Mark III based on the kind of styling of it.
That's fair. But you do know that it's the law that if you have a Mark III Supra, you have to have a chest wig and a big gold medallion.
Nah, I'd be alright with that. I could totally rock that.
Fair enough.
That's the Supra for me, as it turns out.
I mean, flippy up and down headlights, mate.
I do love some pop-ups. Yeah, man, I think this car looks better than the Mark IV.
I respect your opinion. I just cannot agree with it.
And I also respect your opinion, but I cannot agree with it. You cannot look at the 90s, the Mark IV Supra, and look at its kind of weird, almost jelly mold shaped kind of proportions in some ways. I agree it's not the worst looking car, but it always just seems just a tiny little bit it's been melting on the bottom. The bottom of the car was on the hot plate, and it's just melted a little bit faster than the rest, like chocolate.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I'll give you that. The current lusting of my heart is a 997 911 as well, which is a swoopy car. And after that, 996 and the 991, yeah, 3 of the nicest Porsche designs ever penned. Not the 996 actually. The 930 would be much better than that. But yeah, or the But no, like 997, that's just jaw dropping for me. I think that's another timeless design, and it's the curves again.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, so, I mean, I think Porsche 911s look really, really good. I mean, the 997 though.
997 is gorgeous, man. Like that's like the last of the analog Porsches. I would say it's probably 997, then 991 for me. The 992 just looks fucking horrible. I don't like it at all.
I'm not sure I'm that into the 997 design
No?
wise. Like, compared to other 911s.
Like the best value one is definitely the 991. Like if I was buying a Porsche like tomorrow and it was like I wasn't wanting to work on it, I was just wanting to drive about in it and I want the best bang for my buck, I would get a 3-litre turbo Carrera 991 911 with a 7-speed manual gearbox, and like you've got a turbo Porsche and it's just a Carrera, and you can just remap it up and do whatever you want because it's turbo and they're easy to add power to.
Yeah, fair. Absolutely fair.
Whereas like a 997, if you get a Carrera, it's like, oh, I can put a supercharger on it, or I can put bore it out to a 4-litre because the bore is all scored to death, or I can do something with it, or I can do this, or I can cam it. But remapping it doesn't really do anything because it's just a naturally aspirated engine.
I get you. It's a lot harder to improve on that without throwing a lot of time and money at it.
Yeah, that's generally the rule of thumb anyway. But yeah.
Totally fair. So we got there from talking about colours of cars. And yeah, I mean, Porsche is a good example. I think, some Porsches do look really good in white. Like, some cars can look good in white and look good in black and look good in silver. But I just think that in general, I'd much rather see a car with an actual colour. I mean, you just see, the roads are just filled with grey dross. It's like watching black and white TV of boring road.
Yeah. Like, I actually get a wee bit excited when I see a bright dot on the horizon. It's like, oh, this is going to be
What could this be?
pretty. And it's like, it's always either something with a bit of spice level about it, or it's like an old woman in a Vauxhall Adam.
Yes, oh yes, the Adam. Because the Adam was in red and yellow.
Yeah. Like, little hatchbacks actually have some properly quirky colour choices,
They absolutely do. Like the 500 came in some interesting colours. You can get the Mini in good colours. People just don't seem to pick them overly, that often.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, it's like what we always say though. Like people treat them like an appliance and like just for resale value. But I mean it's the second most expensive thing you're buying. Like have some fun with it. Get in a colour you enjoy looking at.
Absolutely. I mean, if I ever buy a new car and spec one, I hope I don't, but if I ever do, I will be, and yellow is an option. I'll be getting that car in yellow.
Yeah.
Like I will 100, but regardless, I'll be picking a color that isn't black, silver, or white. But if there's a yellow there, and it doesn't really matter too much what shade it is, as long as it's like nice and bright and interesting, I'll be picking the yellow.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 110% on this. I do have a question for you off of this though. So say you went in, right, and you're buying a brand spanking new car, and you go through it and you get like the interior the way you want it, the alloys you want, and then they get to color and they're like, right, so the standard colors are white, black, and grey, and silver. Red is a £1,000 optional extra in metallic, and that's it. But you can pay an extra fucking £5,000 to have an individual color like what BMW do. Would you pay to get away from the red, or would you just be like, fuck it, I'll take the red? Or would you be like, fuck it, I'll just go for that and I'll wrap it or something like that?
I'm paying for the extra color, for the individual color, 100%. If I'm going to the fucking trouble of buying an actual new car that I get to pick like what kind of bits has on it myself, I'm spending the extra to get exactly the color that I want. Like I don't care about resale. I don't care about any of that. I want the thing that I want the way I want it. and if I'm going to pay for that, I'll just end up paying for that.
This is fucking wild, you know, how actually, like, after the music, where we could not have had different fucking opinions, we come to colour and it's like, no, absolutely fucking on the same page. Like, even the three colours I said, fucking, well, not red, but purple and yellow, you're like, yes, purple and yellow. It's like, I would do the same, man. I'd pay the extra fucking however many thousands to get an individual colour.
Absolutely, I can treat myself. In this imaginary world where I'm actually buying a new car, I'm definitely treating myself.
Yeah. Do you know what? Maybe this is why. Maybe this is an actual marker, you know? Like, maybe, I don't know if that works, though. I was going to say, maybe, like, it's more common for enthusiasts to have a bright car.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually know. I think maybe, yeah, because they're more interested in their car, so they're more likely to factor that in.
Yeah, but, like, more like, having really bland colours on a car when you buy it, and then having the individual option. Because really, the only people that are going to pick that are people that are, like, compulsive to have a certain colour, or people that actually care and want something they can enjoy instead of just something that the next buyer will be interested in.
Yeah, I do not understand buying a particular color because it's better for the resale. Like, that's not something I really ever consider. I can maybe imagine a world where you might care, but that's not me. That's not how I live.
No, like, I want it for me, not for the next guy.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll just keep the seat warm for him, will I?
Hi, that's it. Oh, see, on the subject of seat warmers, though, right?
Okay, where are we going with this one?
So, you know how BMW have the subscription now?
Oh,
Where, like,
yeah, I do, yeah.
this is nothing but a good thing. Like, every car manufacturer needs to start doing this with all of their options. Because, see, if every car came with heated seats and it was like a subscription option to hang with them, do you know how easy it would be to just fuck that off and put your own switch in and have heated seats for nothing?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if
literally,
if you know have the expertise and can bypass it, then great. But also, like, loads of people buying new, it'll be on
HP, yeah.
finance or some kind, and then they're gonna need, they're gonna need to keep it like fairly standard. Because I imagine fucking about and bypassing all the BMW bullshit does probably void the warranty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing, like, even that, though, there's a way around that because all you would do is switch the fucking connection off. You know, there has to be a way to disconnect your car from the network, right? You just need to find wherever the SIM card or the antenna is and disconnect it, which is totally reversible if you're on finance. Then you can Carly and code everything in. Like, we're at an era where we're at the start of an era where it's almost going to be the best thing you could possibly do to spend 200 quid on coding software and then go and buy the base model car that has everything loaded onto it and it's all based on a subscription, and you just unplug the antenna and fucking code it all up. Because, like,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can kind of see it, especially when you've got like AI helping people code and stuff.
oh yeah, like we're almost at the point where we can pirate cars, which the anarchist in me is absolutely over the moon about this.
You wouldn't download a car.
I fucking would.
I mean, yeah, we'd all download a car. Straight away, no hesitation.
Yeah, no, that was an interesting topic. But fuck it, how did we get that far off talking about colour?
No idea, man. No idea. Honestly, it did actually remind me that when I was in Leith last weekend, I passed a set of wheels that I actually really liked. And do you know what surprised me a lot about that?
What?
The car that they were attached to was a
Go
Kia. I don't know because I have no idea.
Quality.
And yeah, I was just surprised they were on a Kia. I've sent them to you, and I mean, they're not the fanciest wheels in the world, I grant you, but I actually quite like the shape and style of them.
Oh, I'm on board.
They're all right, aren't they? I was really surprised. They're on like just some Kia shitebag MPV or something.
Yeah, but they've got that nice multi-spoke thing going on, man.
Yeah, and I quite like the finish they'd went for. It was just really weird. I just noticed that. I was like, oh fuck, that I actually like them. I'm really surprised.
That's fair though. Like the amount of times you find something on something you're just not expecting to look at, and it's like, oh, actually, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, totally. It's always looking for inspiration, isn't it?
It is because the thing is as well, if you were so inclined, you could probably go away and find an aftermarket set of wheels that are actually pretty decent and close to that in fitment that would fit your car if you really wanted.
Wait, what? Sorry?
Like when you see something like that, like you can almost certainly go online and find an aftermarket set of wheels that are the same style, and then you can
Aye.
order them in a PCD to fit your car. So like that's one of the things that's really, really is quite easy to draw inspiration from other cars is wheels.
Yeah, totally. Aye. Because, I mean, there's a lot of cross compatibility with wheels as well.
Oh yeah, like Ferrari, for instance, fits a lot of Japanese stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. It's kind of wild.
So, like, it doesn't really work because Ferrari wheels are not cheap because they're fucking Ferrari wheels. But like, if you found a really good deal online, like that's an easy way to get yourself a properly wide, staggered set of wheels for your Japanese rock box.
Totally. I mean, yeah, I've definitely used different manufacturers' wheels on other cars. I just keep the center caps of the wrong car on. I'm not really that super precious about that kind of thing.
Yeah. See, oh, go on. Sorry.
No, sorry, man, I had nothing to say there.
Oh, no, I've done the same, but then I also went to like the fucking anorak level of analness and was like, I need to order new center caps with Toyota badges on so that they don't look like Mazda wheels. So I went and found them, and you can actually order them on eBay, or you could back in the day, like specific size of start cap to fit a certain size of wheel, with whatever badge you wanted on it. And I ordered like loads. I ordered just 4 of the Toyota ones, and I was like, bang, Mazda RX-8 wheels on the Soarer, looks fucking dapper. But I know there's a lot of shit like that, man. It's actually really quite one of the really nice parts about the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If I had more space, I would probably collect a couple of different ones that I like, because I always do like a bargain on eBay or finding something that's like a bit uncommon.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, definitely.
Yeah, sorry, man. I was just in the background really quickly looking up small cheap cars because finally
Ooh.
got the provisional applied for.
Oh yeah.
So I was kind of like, I kind of thought about it. I was like, well, probably lessons from someone with like a dual kind of car to get used to the basics of like actually driving.
Yeah.
But like, it would be kind of maybe handy to have like a smaller, car.
Yeah.
Just don't know where I'd put it. But it has given me an excuse to troll the internet for like, kind of like fairly cheap but quite nippy little hatchbacks.
Yeah. Citroen C1. Do it, man. They're actually class.
Oh, the C1. I love a look. At the moment, I'm sorting by 0 to 60 time, which is probably the right way to go about shopping for a first car for someone.
Well, I mean, I don't think you want the fastest 0 to 60 time for somebody that's learning.
Well, I mean, within a budget, you're not going to get anything that's a rocket ship. I'm like, we're not got rocket ship money here.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're not going to rock up with like an i30N and be like, hey, 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds, mate. What?
Yeah. I'm looking for something that's not absolutely cripplingly slow. But I think that brings us to a good question, because now I'm looking at like some pretty ropey cars online.
Yeah.
And you being a mechanic and, well, an ex-mechanic and all, I suppose you don't ever stop knowing the mechanicking. You just stop having to put yourself through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you consider? What do you fix on your car? Because like for me, in the past, I've bought some fairly like most cars have had problems when I bought them that I've then subsequently not fixed. And there's certain things that I will fix, but like a lot of stuff in the cabin, like electronics, like windows and seats and stuff like that, I don't really care too much about. I'm not going to get that fixed. I'll get like running gear and engine and stuff. I will address those.
Yeah. Oh man, I've got some horror stories here. Like, the criteria for me, if I'm not selling it and I'm just running it and it's not something I particularly care about, will it start? If the answer is yes, it doesn't get fixed. Then it goes to the next level of importance of will it drive? And by drive, I include steering and stopping. And if the answer is yes, then it doesn't get fixed. And sometimes, even if the answer is yes, but not particularly well, I'll still go, fuck it, it can wait until it stops working.
Yeah, so you wait to the point of failure, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, one of the Imprezas that I had many, many moons ago, the one I swapped the 330i for, actually, I actually stripped third gear off of that, driving it like an absolute weapon. And I just drove it for like the next 3 months with no third gear. It went 1, 2, 4th, 5th. And yeah, like, so, I mean, I don't really care. Like I'm up for driving a sketch car. Like, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the nicer the car I have, the more I'm inclined to get stuff fixed sooner rather than later.
Oh yeah. I mean, like when I had the Supra on the road, like that got everything it needed. And then when I had the Soarer, it was the same. If it needed it, it got it. There was no, but that was like my pride and joy. But then all the shit heaps that I was running alongside that, it was like the Mercedes I had for a while. The ball joints and that were fucked to the point where sometimes if I braked, it would continue travelling straight ahead. Sometimes it would veer violently to the left, and sometimes it would veer violently to the right.
Yeah, I mean, that is a little bit problematic, isn't it?
Yeah, I drove it like that for like a year. Like the only thing that stopped it was the fact that it failed its MOT. And I was like, oh well, fuck it, scrap it. Like
Aye.
I wasn't gonna fix it because the MOT tester was like, oh no, you need to fix it. Like if that bothered me enough that I wanted to keep the car on the road, I'd just get a dodgy MOT and not fix it. So yeah, like I tend to run on the extreme side of this.
Yeah, totally fair. I think it's a common thing with mechanics, as you were saying, is they just don't bother fixing their own cars.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten a lot better with it in recent years, but when you're fixing everyone else's cars, you just can't be fucked doing it to your own.
I can totally understand that. Absolutely understand that. You're like, nah, I just don't want to.
But
I
yeah,
suppose
no,
it helps for me that I'm not the person typically fixing it.
massively. Like the absolute lack of enthusiasm you have when you're fixing them as a job and then you have to fix your own. It's just like, ah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, so that gives you a small snippet into the terrifying world of what a mechanic's maintenance regiment on a car looks like.
Oil changes, yeah, I know how to do them. Haven't done them though.
I don't know, like I've skipped more oil changes than I've done, like.
It's all about, you know when they build these cars, they build in like a factor of safety. You know, they don't expect you to actually change the oil when it tells you to.
No, I mean, I've went 3 years without changing oil on like a shitter before, and like when I checked the oil before I scrapped it, it was like treacle.
Yeah, I bet it was. That's
Like,
horrible. I can't believe you did that to a poor car, man.
Thick black tar. Like pouring new oil in on top of it, and it was so bad it wouldn't even mix together. You're like, we might get another 6 months out of you.
Yeah, old Yeller needs to be taken out and put down soon.
That's the one. But then, like, when I get my Porsche, that'll be the total opposite of that. Like, my Porsche will live the life of a garage queen. It'll have the oil done every 6,000 miles. It'll have spark plugs every year, even if the service schedule says do them every 3 or 4 years. It'll be like, oh, fuck it, I'll do them every year. I'll do an air filter every year. Change the oil like twice a year. Tires at 2 mil instead of running them down to like 1 mil. Well, 1.6, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's the total polar opposite of like For me, it depends on the car. If it's a shit or if it's something I care about, the difference is night and day.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
Absolutely. Like, when I don't care about a car, I don't put any effort into looking after it.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that's it. Like, it depends on the car, but more often than not, if it's something I like, it'll be treated like royalty.
Yeah, totally. Treated with like kid gloves. Apart from
Yeah.
when you're driving it and you're absolutely ragging it.
Yeah, I don't know. What about you?
What do you mean?
Like, with regards to fixing it, like, because, like you said, you're not typically the one that fixes it.
Aye. So I mean, what I kind of do is I like to know what's kind of coming up, what's potentially going to be fucked in the future, and what I typically would do is wait until something kind of needs done, and then I'd maybe get a few of the other things that are like, they could probably also benefit with being done at the same time to minimize how like much time my car spends at a garage. Having owned that TT for like a few years, and it spent genuinely like almost 5 months in a garage 1 year, really made me appreciate just like, I don't want the car. I need the car. The car's mine. I need to use it. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So I try and kind of save them up, squirrel up all the issues, and then like punt it away to somewhere to be like, can you fix all of this, please? Here's a massive shopping list of all the stuff that's broken on this car.
I get that. Because as well, this is a view that I have, and like if I wasn't a mechanic, I probably wouldn't be into cars. Like I probably wouldn't even have owned that many cars, because if I had to get somebody else to do the work on a car for me, I just legitimately would not pay it.
Yeah, it's so expensive to get any work done by a mechanic. And like, fair enough, because also it is a skill and they should be getting paid well. It's just fucking hell, is it tough to swallow sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the time, like people, there's a lot of ignorance about this as well, though, and like, well, not ignorance, because it's not like a willful thing. Like people see brakes, for example, right, and it's like they're the thing that saves your life when it all goes wrong. It's the thing that stops you becoming one with the object in front of you, right?
Yeah.
People kind of assume that they're expensive. But like you can get genuinely good parts. Like see literally the most I say most expensive, like somebody's going to be like, oh, carbon Kevlar or carbon ceramic or some pish like that. But like generally the most expensive normal car parts, right, in terms of brake discs, are on the back of a Renault Clio, and it's because they've got the wheel bearing built into them. And you're talking like 120 quid a disc for a really good branded disc, right? But see, like, I've had boys come to me and they're like, "Can you get me discs and pads?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." It's like, and they've went to like two or three of their pals that work in garages, and they've like ordered them in through the garage, and I'm like, "No, fuck that! I'll bang it on my trade account." And it's like 200 quid gets them, like, for 200 quid, I'll fit them, and it gets you front and back pads and discs and a full brake service by me, and that's parts and labour included. But then you go to a garage, and most garages are like, yeah, 400 quid, mate, for the front pads and discs. And it's like, you're literally 100 quid deep in parts, if not less. Like 80 quid buys you all the parts for that. Because a garage, if they're charging you 400 quid to do discs and pads, they're using the cheapest, shittiest discs and pads they can get.
I probably, yeah.
Like, you're not getting Paged or Ica. Well, no, that's exactly what you're getting. Fucking Ica. When the discs come out of the box, there's so much oil on them that if you dropped them in the ocean, it would kill all the fucking fish. Ken, like, and you have to wash all this oil off. Whereas you get Paged discs, which come with an anti-corrosion coating. There's nothing to wipe off. You just bang them straight on the car. Standard fit on a Porsche. Like, what do you need? What more do you want?
Yeah.
Like fucking yeah, that's it. And then it's only when you go to properly high performance stuff like 911s, for example, with like 2-part discs, so floating discs. You've got an aluminium bell and then a cast iron or steel disc that bolts onto the bell. But it's only when you get to that level you're talking like 400-500 quid for parts. Like before that, like most garages are seeing people off, and that's the thing that I can't be done with. That's that. Like I've seen it from both sides of the curtain because I used to deal with customers, but I also fucking done all the work, and it's like yeah, I wouldn't pay somebody to do this for me.
But you do have the ability, the skill and the knowledge to do it quite easily. Like, you wouldn't be starting from scratch.
That's very true, and it does give me a bit of a biased opinion on it, to be fair. But
Because you've done
certainly.
hundreds. You're like, God, I could like knock that out in an afternoon.
Well, I mean, I've done discs and pads on my mum's car on Saturday there on the front, and it took me 10 minutes. And that was like stripping everything off, taking the carrier off, pinging the packets out, filing all the shite out of the carriers, refreshing the grease in the sliders, copper slipping everything up, putting new shims on, copper slipping the pads, new wear sensors, and then putting it all back together, and then out for road test. 10 minutes. Maybe 15 minutes actually, if I'm including like jacking the car up, letting the car down, torquing wheels and stuff. 15 minutes start to end. And if I was in a garage, that'd be even faster because I'd have an apprentice helping me, and I'd be on a 2-poster lift. And literally,
you have a gun.
I had a gun when I was doing it here as well, to be fair. But you're literally paying like 400 quid for somebody to do 15 minutes work.
Aye, totally.
And that's ridiculous. That's fucking lunacy.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I do appreciate it.
But
it's good to find somewhere that you trust as well.
It is. And more often than not, you find the garages where people are put a lot of trust in people don't tend to rip people off either.
Aye, no, they're trying to do it a bit more fair.
Yeah. There was genuinely a point where I had the unit after work, and I'd be working from 8 till 5, and I'd leave work at 5, go home, have my tea at 5:30, and then for 6 o'clock I would go to my unit, and I would probably be working from 6 o'clock till 10, 11 o'clock at night, just working on the side, and doing it for 20 quid an hour labour. And if you buy the parts, I don't charge you anything. If I buy the parts, you pay a 5% markup. And there was a brief period of time where I was actually ordering more parts for that than what the garage I was working at was ordering. My trade discount, my trade card, my trade account had a bigger discount on it than this fucking national garage did. And it's the money's there to be made if people trust you and you're reasonably priced. And the thing is, I was making a fucking fortune at that. So yeah, it's definitely, if you find somebody that's quite keenly priced, they tend to be pretty handy. And then from the trust, just people get busy.
Absolutely. And you want a smaller kind of place, not something that's just one guy not for everything. Some things is fine, but not for everything. But don't go to a big massive place like a chain or a huge dealership or something like that, because a lot of what you're paying for is also just to keep their massive bloated company afloat.
Yeah, you go to a dealership with big glass fronts and massive lights, and they're employing 4 different receptionists just to answer phones. It's your 120 quid an hour that you're paying is just for this. It's just for pomp and circumstance.
Aye. Yeah, totally. It's good if you're not that handy and you don't, or you can, or you don't. It's good to have a good kind of reputable local garage. And honestly, if you've just got a car, just finding kind of a good garage is fine. But if you've got something specific, you can actually find specialists as well.
Yeah, and 9 out of 10 times, this is a little hack as well, because I don't think people realise this, but see if you go to a good specialist garage, 9 out of 10 times, the best mechanic in that specialist garage will run well, not even the best, one of the kind of middling mechanics at that specialist garage will run fucking rings round the mechanics you get at a dealership. And
probably, yeah.
The reason why is because to be a specialist garage, generally you need to have a Master Tech certification from that manufacturer. And specialist garages are aware that people don't want to spend 100 quid an hour in a fucking dealership. So they'll pay better money than a dealership will to the mechanics to attract the best fucking talent. That's genuine. The most competitive wages I've ever had as a mechanic were from specialist garages. They were not from dealerships, and I've worked in both.
Mm-hmm. I could totally believe that, actually. Yeah, I could 100% believe that.
So, don't ever be oh, I need to go to the dealership because of my warranty, because your warranty is enshrined in your consumer rights as well. Like, just go to the specialist. Like, that's literally all you have to do. And you'll save 60 quid an hour.
Yeah, easily.
But yeah, no, that actually ran the risk of being reasonably helpful advice for somebody there.
Oh, flying very, very close to the sun.
I know, like, we shouldn't be doing this. We're supposed to be fucking entertainment over accuracy.
Absolutely, yes. We need to be staying away from any kind of advice.
Yeah. Unless that advice is buy a rock box and regret it. But yeah.
Oh God, why do I want to buy really shit cars? Like, that's something I sometimes think about. Like, now I'm looking at cars again, and I'm obviously sorting by lowest price. But like, there's some okay stuff. Like, I'm looking at like a 1.6 Seat Leon, right? 5-door, 95,000 miles on an oh 04 plate, basic as fuck, less than 900 quid.
That's class.
Like, that's all right. That's not a terrible car.
No, that would be a decent wee buy, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough, but like, if I'm spending less than £1,000 on a car, I'm going in with the expectation that it's rough as fuck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's very dirty inside. Really, they've taken a lot of good quality photos of how nasty it is on the outside, but not how nasty it is on the inside. So that about wraps us up. I mean, we've covered car color, which I have been meaning to talk to you about for a long time, because like, it's something that I really think is it's an epidemic on the roads. Is the bland colored car epidemic, and I'm glad that we have very similar opinions on that. It's nice to meet a fellow car color lover, if you know what I mean. And it was nice to find some agreement after we're diametrically opposed on music choice in the car. It makes sense why most of the times where we've been in the car together for long periods of time, we've basically just chatted the whole time.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I wouldn't subject you to listening to the death metal for like a 4 hour journey down the road.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Equally, like, I wouldn't put you through drum and bass, man. Like, I totally get it. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, hey, if everyone liked the same thing, it'd be a fucking miserable place, though.
Absolutely. And I think on that, we should end the show. Thank you very much for listening. If you have enjoyed this, please do consider liking and subscribing or leaving us a review or a comment. We would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.